For this project, you have the option of selecting either lines or shapes. And for this example, we will focus more on the shapes. So there are two areas you can grab shapes from when you are in Google. One of them is right here under shapes. So you'll click on this icon, go into shapes, and you'll see all of these shapes to work from. You can select a shape here, click and drag to create each shape. Grab another shape. This time I'll use a circle. Same thing. Click and drag until it's the shape that you like. If it isn't quite the shape that you want, you can click and drag on the individual squares here and adjust it from there. Another area you can create shapes from is right here, where you can select a line. So even though it's the line tools, there are a couple of shapes here that you can create. So for the curve one, I really like this tool. You can click, drag, and then as you drag again, it's going to curve your lines. You finish the line, and once it's selected into a shape, you can reformat it from there. You can make it smaller, you can stretch it different ways to create your shape that you like. The other one I was going to show you is under the line tool again, the polyline tool. This one, you click and drag, same thing, but it's not going to curve your lines. You can create a shape there. Same thing when you're done with your shape. You'll have the selection tool there where it selects the whole thing, and you can modify your shape even more. For this project, you only need up to 3 shapes. So create a few shapes or lines and select the ones that you like, and you can delete the ones that you are not going to use. The next thing that you're going to do is you are going to adjust your settings on each of these. So I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. I want some small shapes. I'll probably have some shapes that are a little bit bigger. So for this one, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to change the color. So I'll go into the fill tool with the bucket and create a color that I like. In here, you're also going to change the opacity. So that is the level of how much you can see through your objects. Right here in this tool, you'll drag it to a different opacity. So it'll go from clear to that true color that you selected. I'm going to go somewhere about 1/3 in. So it's a little bit more opaque than true. So it'll have this really soft look. Another thing I'm going to do is adjust the border. I want to make this border a little bit thicker. And then I also want to change the color a bit. So I'm going to do this deep purple. Whoops. We'll go back. And when you're changing the color, you have to be on this pen tool. I selected the wrong one, and select the color that you like. I'm going to go ahead and change these other shapes to what I want. Here, I'm going to select a couple of these shapes. So I'm selecting it. If you push the shift key down, it can select more than one, and then you can move those off to the side. And then I'm going to have one of these shapes repeat. So if you select it, you can do Control-C, Control-V to give you a repeat. And what I like to do here, I like to keep my spacing exactly the same. And you can see it's overlapping already as I push Control-C and Control-V. So each time I go to copy and paste, I want to copy the new copy. So I'm going to go to Control-C again, and then Control-V. Control-C, Control-V. Now, if I just go Control-V over and over and over again, it will copy onto itself. So Control-C, Control-V, Control-C, Control-V. I'm going to do this over and over again because I like this pattern that it's creating. Now, if I want to select all of these and move them, I can click and drag. It'll have it all selected, and I can then move these wherever I want. I can also Control copy all of these and then Control V, and then I'm going to use my arrow keys to space these out. And then I'm going to Control C, Control V again, arrow keys, space these out. Control C, Control V, arrow keys, space these out. I'm filling that background area so that it continues to repeat. One more to fill this composition. Move this out of the way a little bit more so I can play with these shapes a little bit. I'm going to select them all. It gets a little tricky. Move these around. It looks like I grabbed that one. That's okay. I'm going to select all of these. Control copy, Control V. It's making another set for me. And I'm going to have these go the other way. And overlap here. You can even have them go at a little bit of an angle if you want them to align a little. And then I'm using my cursor keys to move this around as well. Okay. Select all of these again and try to get back into my composition as best I can. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working with some of these other shapes that I have here to create this infinity piece. So for now, they are in the background, but when you Control C and Control V on this, or you can Control X and Control V, they will be on top. So now you can see that opacity, the colors are showing through. For this one, change it up just a little bit. I am going to fill the canvas with them all on top. So Control Copy, Control V. Okay, and then I'm going to use this final one. And this color is going to, now that I'm combining colors, I realize that this is not going to stand out real well. So I'm going to give it a punch of color here. I have a white background on this for the border. So for the background of my actual presentation here, or my slide, I'm going to choose a different color. For now, let's do maybe like a soft gray and see what that looks like. Okay, I added a gray in the background. And now this one, you can see the white. I make it a little bit smaller. You'll be able to see that white outline now that it has a darker background. I'm going to make this one really small. Okay, and then here is my design. You can continue to play around with this. If you want to look at the background again, you can change it. So I'm going to make a copy of this, paste it so you can see them side by side, and change the background up a little bit. So maybe I'll even go to like a navy blue, do something really deep. Some on here, or this deep green would be fun. So this is closer to a navy blue. So you can see this one looks really different. That white really, really pops. And over here, it's a little more subtle, the colors compared to this other background. If I were to copy it again and change that background again, you could even go to something really soft. But think about the colors that you already have. If you pick something that's the same, you may not see your lines as well. And then if we go into our slideshow mode, you can see it pop even more. So it'll cut off all those extra shapes that were on the outside, and this is what you would see in presentation mode. And this would be your final product. So if you like the shape tools or you like the shape look overall, this is a way to achieve that look. And you also have the option of creating lines and duplicating lines that are both organic or geometric. Enjoy your project making.